Hey, it's Gloria and welcome back to another video. Don't mind my disheveled appearance and the sound of my voice. I have been so sick, and my family as well. We've just been in it. Whatever's going around hit us. My husband got sick, and then Finn got really sick, and then I got sick, and I'm on the mend, and Finn is kind of getting better. Poor baby. Having a sick baby is the worst. But all that to say, that's why I look like this. And I just had this desire to do this. Book reorganization slash declutter, unhaul slash organization, put stuff in my Goodreads shelving. You know how people have books that they buy and they put on their shelf and then they put them in a Goodreads want to read and shelf? I've always wanted to do that, but I never have for some reason. I don't know why, but I want to do it because I love being able to find a book based on a keyword in the title. It goes really well for readathons, like buzzword. When you're looking for books with titles that have specific words, I want to be able to like search my shelf, but I can't do that because I don't have these books inputted anywhere. Some of them are, but most aren't. And so I was like, I'm gonna do that. And then I started doing it, and then I started going book by book, just like literally in a row of every book on my shelf and putting it into Goodreads. And then I was like, I don't want to keep this book. Like, I look it up, I think about it. I'm almost doing the Marie Kondo method of like holding the book or looking at it and thinking about it, looking it up and being like, does this book bring me joy? Will I actually ever read this? Am I at all drawn to this book? And if the answer is no, I'm like, goodbye. You don't need to be on my shelf anymore. So that is what I'm doing. I literally just started. I'm like that far in. Like, I've done this little section and I've already 1, 2, 3, 4, and I already have 5 books that I'm like, no, I don't want these. I'm never gonna read them. And it feels really good. And I started doing it. I didn't at all think to film this or make it a video. And then I thought, why not? This is like what making videos in my channel is all about, is like to talk about bookish things and do this project together. I've done a declutter like this before and it was super fun. I did a like book reorganization, but I wasn't as meticulous. I was more worried about like making the books organized in a certain way. I didn't like think about each book individually, but I did do that. And then I did like a big series spreadsheet organization thing, and that was really fun last year. So this is my, I guess, like newest urge to want to do something. So I don't know how far I'll get or how long this will take me, but I'm gonna just go through, pull books, and at the end I'll tell you how many books I own, because I'm gonna input every single book I own, and then how many books I'm gonna get rid of, because I think there's gonna be a lot and it's gonna feel good. Ones that are in like excellent condition that I bought that are like perfect will go on Pango, and all the other ones are just gonna go in my little free library. I have like a big old fat stack, or other little free libraries, but I don't visit other little free libraries as often around me as much as I just like put them into mine, which gets emptied a ton, but no one puts books in it. And I'm like, come on, people. So I just have to like refill it all the time, which is fine. Love being a little free library steward, but that's the plan. And I'm looking at my computer, so I'm like looking this way. I should be looking this way. So yeah, that's the plan for the day slash days. So watch along and comment along for the journey ahead. All right, so checking in after my first, I can't even do it on this way. I have to do this way. That whole first row, plus there's like farther back. I finished the first whole row. I have a lot of snot. And I have 46 books on my shelf from the first row, and I'm getting rid of 9. You're currently sitting on the 9. I'm gonna do a big on haul at the end, but I'm very happy about that. I am liking how this is going so far. Yeah. But Finn woke up from his nap, so that concludes as far as I got today. I'm sure I will do more on his next nap. And it's actually really fun. It's like a super hyper fixated like organization thing that only like book people get. Or maybe like people who organize other stuff, but it's just very satisfying to go through your books and purge when you have the desire to purge, and then also kind of like organize them. The fact that I know that there's that many books up top there, it's fun. Yeah, Finn? He's sucking on an ice cube because he also might be teething as well as being sick. I don't know how people have kids, man. It's so hard. How do you have more than one? But yeah, it's been a rough one. Let me wipe your nose. I know, you don't like that. But yeah, this is Finn. He's 11 months old. 11 months since he was born, which is nuts to me. How fast that went, but also how slow, you know, if you're a parent, you know. But yeah, that's the check-in. I'll check in with you when I keep going. Hey, it's so terrible lighting, but it is what it is. It's 9 p.m. the same day, and one day down. Obviously I didn't do this the whole day. I like didn't do anything after he woke up. I had other stuff going on, but I finally finished it up this evening, and I just finished this one shelf. So I have a little classic shelf and my nonfiction shelf, and then my cart that has some other random books on there that I like and prioritizing, which I usually never prioritize, which is funny. But anyways, I just finished this shelf alone, which is all fiction and mostly historical, and I have 175 books on it that I want to read. I did not include books that I've read, but to be fair, that's like less than 20 probably on the shelf, the books I've read. So that's a lot, 175 unread books just from here. And I could have gotten rid of more. I have quite a bit of stack of books to get rid of, and I could have gotten rid of more from the contemporary and thriller mystery piles, but I have so little of those that I'm like, I keep them. There was a little part of me that almost wanted to get rid of every single book that was lower than a 4-star average rating, but then that would have been a lot. And for some reason, I'm like attached to some books, even though the reviews aren't amazing and I see low ratings from people that I trust, that are like I follow on Goodreads, but for some reason I still want them. So, but I'm making good progress. Hopefully this won't take me too long because my husband is home tomorrow, so I'm able to maybe do this a little bit more while Finn naps, and I'm trying to be efficient. So we'll see how this goes. The nonfiction is going to be tough, but I need to purge it. I need to get rid of stuff in there, so I think it'll be good because it's full and I haven't at all looked through those shelves. And there's a lot of books I probably don't want to read anymore. You know, you just lose the mood, and I'm in a purgy mood, and I need to take advantage when that mood strikes because it's the time to get rid of some stuff. But yeah, so far I'm enjoying doing this. Like I said, the mood is right, and also I am just excited to like be reinvigorated by the books I have, be more inspired to read them, and also have the data. Like, I'm very excited. I can't believe it's taken me this long. I've been 4 years on BookTube, and I see people always have this shelf on their Goodreads, but it's taken me 4 years to do this, and I don't know why, because I love the data. I love being able to look up what is the highest rated book that I own, what is the lowest rated book, like oldest published, like all of this stuff, or even, like I said, finding book titles by like keyword that I want to look at. Oh, I'm so excited to have that data by the end of this. So if you've been waiting to do this, let me tell you, this is my encouragement. If you have the time, do it, because it's really fun for some reason. And I'm excited to have my results at the end. All right, I'm gonna go get ready for bed, and I will check in with you when I make some more progress. Good morning, friends. I'm continuing my project. It's the next morning. I'm a little stressed because my shelves are in complete disarray and I want to like redo everything, but I am chugging along, and I just finished my classics shelf, which took longer than I thought it would because there's not that many on there, but I went hard on the purging. Like, I just got rid of 16 classics are going away, which feels really good because I'm reading way less classics these days, which is sad, but that's just the state of my mind right now in, I think, being like early on in parenthood. I'm just gonna read more fun stuff and less think, brain, take my time. Also classics, a lot of them that I have that I'm getting rid of, I feel like I'd want to read physically, even though I know a lot of them have great audio productions, I'm sure, but reading physically just isn't happening, or if it is, it's before bed on my Kindle, and I really can't be reading anything that just makes me think too much. I got rid of some doubles and just stuff that I saw that doesn't have great reviews, and I'm like, I don't care, I'm never gonna pick this book up, at least in probably the next 10 years, so goodbye. And I got down to all of them fitting on my shelf, because before I had like big stacks over here and over here. Oh, there's a spider in the corner over there. I need to clean the shelf, but I don't love how they look. I don't actually really like the shelf at all. I got it and it like looks cute from far away, but it's completely unpractical when it comes to actually organizing and stacking them. Like, they don't fit well on the shelf at all. And I actually want to get rid of it because I have to like bolt it to the wall because there's this huge gap. And I'm like, Finn is totally gonna like pull this down on himself if I'm not watching him 24/7. So temporary solution. Anyways, too much information for you, but I feel good with getting rid of even more, but the purging in progress is feeling good, and I'm currently at 207 books unread on my shelf that I own from all of fiction, I can say, except for like the 10 books that are on my TBR card. So 220 or so fiction books that I have to read, which is a lot. Which is a lot, but I like knowing this information. It's getting me very motivated to read a lot of these. I did it. So it took 3 days. I finished last night. Today's day 4. I have officially inputted every single book that I own into Goodreads, and I'm actually gonna put them into Storygraph as well because I realized Storygraph has like cooler features in the to read shelf, but that's gonna be a little bit later. But for now, I own 296 unread books on my shelves, and I think I want to say I have like maybe 100 or a little less even of read books. So in total, around 400 books, which actually feels okay. 300 unread books, or just about, feels reasonable to me. I feel like I'm very determined till I get through more of these and like whip them out. But I was pretty brutal with my unhaul. This is my large stack of books. I'll go through them because last time I did this, people really like an unhaul, and you know, I like watching them too. So I still feel like I want to rearrange things. I'm like not happy with the way they look, but that's fine. Different day, one step at a time. But yeah, 296 books. So what I want you guys to do is I'm going to link my Goodreads link with this shelf, and a la Krista, I was inspired by Books and Jams because she always does this every year at the start of every year. I want you guys to pick one book, just one book that I own that you would recommend reading. I would love to have like a top, you know, I don't know how many people are gonna comment, but let's say like top 20 list of books that are recommended from you guys that I already own, that I can focus on. So if you're in the mood to do so, please do that, and I'm gonna keep track of that. So you can go down, look at Goodreads, you can sort by what you've read and what you've rated, or if you just want me to read something that you haven't even read yet. But if you've read the book, recommended it, loved it, let me know down below because that will be so fun. Let's talk about the books I'm getting rid of. I'm gonna try to be as brief as possible because this is already gonna be a very long video. I'm gonna go in absolutely no particular order, just piles. I'll start with historical fiction. If for whatever reason you're like, Lori, don't get rid of that book, let me know, but these are going to be going away. A Brief History of Seven Killings by Marlon James. This is a prize-winning book, and I don't really care about prize-winning books and literary fiction, and it's too big. I don't think this is going to be me kind of book, so unfortunately I'm going to get rid of it. Everyone told me to get rid of this. Winemaker's Wife by Kristen Harmel. I talked about it in reacting to a historical fiction list. Like, this is one of the top authors, and I hadn't had success with her in the past. I decided to keep one of my books by her, but this one is about an affair, and I don't care. Tangerine. I don't think I'm gonna like it. I think this is also kind of like unlikable character and like, yeah. I don't know. Don't think it's my kind of book. Washington Black. I think this was lowly rated. I don't know, just something about it. I don't think I'm gonna like it. The Paris Wife by Paula McLean. I could care less to read anything about Ernest Hemingway and the 1920s in France and like unhappy marriages and drinking and just partying, and I don't care. I don't care about these people. The Bee's Kiss. This was on my shelf of bee books to read, and this is like book number 8 in a historical mystery series. It's not one that I think I will get to anytime soon, and I just kind of don't care. I want to focus on other bee and honey books. Eva Luna by Isabel Allende. I have another one by her. This one was rated quite poorly. Magical realism. I just wasn't really drawn to reading this or ever picking it up, and I found this in a little free library, so it's like no harm, no foul, but I don't want to prioritize that. This was the lowest rated book on my shelf. This had an average rating of 3.05. I think affair is in the title, so I think it's about an affair. I don't want to read it. I just don't. I don't think I'm gonna like it, so I'm getting rid of it. Okay, next, Three Sisters, Three Queens by Philippa Gregory. I have the first book in the series, The Lady of the Rivers. That is the first book in the like Tudor series. I was gifted that by one of my lovely viewers. If I'm ever going to get to the series, I'm going to start with that one. This is book 8. I really don't need to keep an 8th book in a series, but I just don't. Demelza by Winston Graham. I have Ross Poldark. I do want to try the series. I think I'm going to love it. I don't think I need to keep this book. This was also rated very poorly. Mrs. Lincoln's Dressmaker by Jennifer Chiavarini. I just hauled this recently because this is like a brand new historical fiction, but I've recently heard just not great things about her historical fiction. I heard it's more historical than it is fiction, and it's not very exciting to read about, and this was a very, very low rating, and everyone that I saw that has read it that I know didn't give it great reviews, so I think I'm gonna get rid of it. The Chelsea Girls by Fiona Davis, an author I really need to try. Actually, I'll just put both of these up. The Address by Fiona Davis. I have a few of her books. I decided to keep The Dollhouse because that one is actually higher rated, seems more interesting. This one both had lower ratings. I tried the first chapter of this one, I didn't really care, and then the Chelsea Girls had poor reviews, so I'm gonna get rid of both of those. I have other Fiona Davis books that I'm more interested in that I don't even own, and so if I'm ever gonna read her, I'm gonna start with The Dollhouse, and then I don't know, I just don't want to keep it. The Guest Book by Sarah Blake. This one just didn't seem interesting enough for me to keep. This was like a big dramatic family, rich people in Maine family saga drama. Sounded boring. Even As We Read by Annette Sanuck Clapsaddle had poor ratings, and the reviews general gist I got was that there wasn't like enough meat in the story. I mean, this is a very short book, and even though I love this cover, I just think this will be like too literary for me to care. So I'm gonna get rid of it. Next batch, The Snow Child by Eve and Ivy. One of my favorite books that I read last year. I loved it, but I don't need to keep it. I gave it 4 stars. This is a perfect wintry, snowy book, and I'm kind of being brutal with my shelves, and I don't really want to keep books that I don't see myself rereading, and I don't think I'll reread it. Even though I loved it, would highly recommend for winter. The Dutch House by Ann Patchett. I read it earlier this year and also thoroughly surprised. Love the audiobook. Don't ever see myself rereading this. It was a great book, but I don't need to own it. The Bodyguard by Catherine Center, a rom-com that I loved, one of the very, very few. I also don't need to keep it. I don't see myself rereading it, but I think someone else finding it for the first time and reading it and loving it will be so fun. Next, Everything is Illuminated by Jonathan Safran Foer. One of the first books I bought when I joined BookTube, because this has to do with Ukraine. One of my best friend's favorite books of all time, and I tried the first chapter of this way back in like my first year of BookTube. Absolutely not my kind of book. I don't think I'm gonna love it, and I don't really want to read it, so I'm gonna get rid of it. Bird in Hand by Christina Baker Klein. I read Orphan Train, absolutely loved it. I decided to keep Piece of the World, even though that didn't sound interesting to me. That's other historical fiction. This is a contemporary book and it had a horribly low average rating, and it's a contemporary book about a like tumultuous marriage, so I'm gonna get rid of it. When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. One of the only books that I participated in Books and Lala's Literary Dead Book Club. It was one of her first books. It was a thriller, and this was fascinating. I actually thoroughly enjoyed this one. It was such a mind trip. Reading this felt like watching the movie Get Out. It was just so insane. It has to do with gentrification and like you don't know what's going on, who's real, what's happening. It was great. Quite spicy in some moments, but very interesting and captivating. But I don't think I'm ever gonna reread it, especially thrillers. Like, who rereads those? I guess some people do, I shouldn't say that, but I'm not gonna reread this, even though I loved it. We Are All Completely Besides Ourselves has poor ratings. It's a contemporary book that it's been on my shelf for too long and I have no desire to pick it up. My Brilliant Friend by Alana Ferrante. One of my friends commented when I was debating whether keeping this or not after my haul of this book, and she said I'm not gonna like it. And I completely trust her. And since this made it to the New York Times best books of all time list, I don't know, there was like a little bit of pressure, but now I don't care. Bridge of Clay by Marcus Zusak. Just no one has said good things about this at all. Everyone loves The Book Thief, and that I stand by. And since this came out, I don't think any single person has like loved this. So I don't need to read it. I'm gonna get rid of it. All right, next category, classics. I'm gonna be brutal. I'm gonna be brutal. Don't be mean to me, but I don't have the headspace for classics these days as much as I would like to. I have other ones that I would prefer to read way over any of these. And I just, yeah, I don't see myself reading these in like the next 10 years, so they're gonna go. The Idiot by Dostoevsky. I've never read from a Russian classic author, and I feel a little bit ashamed about that, but I don't think I will because I don't care. So he's going away. Also, I mean, I feel like this one, I keep going back and forth, but I think I'm gonna do it. This book, Anna Karenina by Tolstoy, I've owned for 20 years, probably, maybe a little less, maybe like 16 years. It's pretty. I think I'm gonna give this book like 2 stars. I don't think I'm gonna like it, and I'm not gonna do it. So I'm not gonna read it, and I'm gonna get rid of it. Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. I read this in high school. I don't need to read it again. Great Expectations. This is another one that I bought probably 15 years ago. I don't think I care to read Dickens. Last of the Mohicans. Don't really see many people giving this high ratings or caring about it very much, so I don't think I'm gonna read it. It's not for me. Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. This is a very beat up used copy, and I don't know anything about it. East of Eden. Now, I really love this cover. Actually, it's beautiful, but I prefer paperbacks, and I have a paperback version of the same book, so I don't need to keep both of them. Tess of d'Urberville, or whatever it's called, by Thomas Hardy. I've heard this is miserable, and I don't want to read about it. Hind's Feet in High Places, or On High Places. I started reading the first chapter of this, and I don't think I care about allegory, so I'm getting rid of both Pilgrim's Progress and Hind's Feet on High Places. My mind can't read these and understand what they're about. I actually don't like love reading about like theology. I have a hard time reading the Bible, guys. I just don't know if I'm gonna ever read these or care about them. Maybe one day. Maybe one day, maybe I can be convinced to keep these, but these are like Christian classics, like must read, they're gonna change your life, and I don't know. Oh, another Hardy, Under the Greenwood Tree. I don't know, no one's talked about how they love that. This version of Steinbeck's Of Mice and Men and Cannery Row. It's kind of cool, little cute little pocketbook one, but I'm not gonna read it. Lady Audley's Secret by Mary Elizabeth Braddon. This is a Victorian sensational novel, and I'm not gonna pretend like I know what that means, but I don't think I'm gonna like it. I'm getting rid of these two Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet and Othello. I will definitely not read Shakespeare anytime soon. I could care less. You cannot convince me to read Shakespeare. I'm getting rid of this version of Sense and Sensibility. I have like the Wordsworth hardcover pretty one, and I just read Sense and Sensibility and I thought it was okay. Like I liked it. It wasn't my favorite Austen, but I don't need 2 copies, so I'm getting rid of that. Quick adjustment because the battery died. And moving on to nonfiction. I was talking about how I don't like theology, and I don't think I'm going to read Miracles by C.S. Lewis. I have Mere Christianity on my shelf. I think I'll read that one because that's an important one to read, but I'm not gonna read this one. I just won't. The Christian Atheist had not great reviews, and I don't know, like I said, I'm not really reading like spiritual nonfiction these days, and if I am going to read it, I'm going to read one of the higher rated ones written by people that I trust and know and care about. These I feel bad. C.S. Lewis is amazing, but I read like Grief Observed and I was so confused and I had no idea what was going on. So For Women Only, For Men Only, these were gifted to me, I think, for my bridal shower, and my husband and I have never read them. We're 5 years into marriage. Maybe we should read them, but we're doing good. And these just feel like cheesy little Christian marriage self-help books that I don't care about. The Purity Principle and the Treasure Principle by Randy Alcorn, another little like pocket spiritual nonfiction that I don't think I will get to. Blue Like Jazz, like a classic one that has a terrible cover and just seems cheesy and has poor ratings, so I don't think I'm gonna get to that. Strengthening the Soul of Your Leadership by Ruth Haley Barton. I think this is actually an excellent book. Ben and I are leaders in a capacity at our church, and this was gifted to us. Neither of us are really burnt out or feeling like we need this read, and I don't think we're gonna get to it, so I'd rather just find another home. Then I'm getting rid of the 4 books on Portland that we have, because Portland has changed a lot in the last 5+ years, and so half of these books I feel like are out of date. Half the restaurants got closed, new ones are added. So like, I just don't think that I will ever go to these books first to like go on any kind of fun Portland adventure. The Children's Blizzard by David Laskin. I read The Children's Blizzard, same name, by Melanie Benjamin, which was a historical fiction book. And that one, I actually didn't love that book, but it was really interesting to learn about these events. And I thought that I would read the nonfiction, but it's been about 3+ years and I haven't. I feel like I know the gist of the story. Like, I know what happened. I don't need to read the nonfiction to find out more. A lot of these other ones, they were just poor, like lower average rating, like under 4 stars. The Soul of All Living Creatures, low rating. What Animals Can Teach Us About Being Human. Thought it sounded interesting at first, but I'm not gonna read it. Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks. I don't think I'm gonna give this more than 4 stars, and I feel like so many people have read it, and like I know the basic of the story, and it sounds really bad, but I know that this woman's cells were taken against her will and were used in medical research. I don't need to know more details than that, and that might sound really bad, but I just don't. Revolutionary Mothers, poor average rating. I'm not gonna read about this. Reading Lolita and Tehran, very poor average rating, and I'm not ever gonna read Lolita. I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna care about that. Madeline Albright's book Prague Winter, Personal Story of Remembrance of the War. I just have other ones about the war that I decided to keep that had much higher average rating. Same with The Lost, A Search for 6 Million by Daniel Mendelsohn. Similarly, The Monuments Men by Robert M. Edsel. I've watched the movie. The movie was entertaining with, you know, Damon and Clooney and other people, and I don't need to read this book. It didn't have the best reviews. I'm gonna get rid of My Life in France by Julia Child. I loved this book. Absolutely beautiful memoir. So fun to read, especially if you love cooking and if you're all fond of Julia Child or like the Food Network and stuff. I don't know, this was just so wonderful to read about her life and her marriage, and just, she is a cool lady. Love this book, but I don't see myself rereading it. And I don't really have people in my life that would borrow this. Like, my goal at first was like, okay, fill your shelves with books that you've read and you've really enjoyed that people can borrow. And in part, I would love to do that, but I just don't have people in my life that are readers like I am. And if they are, I don't think they're borrowing like this kind of book. So I'm gonna pass this along for someone else. Into the Wild by Krakauer had lower reviews. I've watched the movie. I don't need to read the story. I really enjoyed Into Thin Air, and I have Under the Banner of Heaven by him to still read. But this one, I think the movie's better than the book, and the book is short and doesn't have great reviews, so I'm not gonna read it. Chatter by Ethan Cross. The Voice in Her Head, Why It Matters, How to Harness It. Self-helpy. I'm not gonna read it. I'll just grab the other self-help ones. The Happiness Project by Gretchen Rubin had very poor average ratings, just really bad, so I don't think I'm gonna read that self-help. And How to Win Friends and Influence People. Could care less to ever pick that up. Oh, this is another one that I absolutely read and loved. The Salt Pass by Rainer Wynn was a beautiful book, a wonderful memoir, very along the lines of If You Love Wild by Cheryl Strayed, you will absolutely love this book, so please pick it up. It's actually a duology, and I've been meaning to read the second book, but again, like I said, I don't need to keep this because I don't think I will ever reread it. So this will find another home, but I do recommend. Too Scared to Cry: How Trauma Affects Children and Ultimately Us All. I don't really want to read about children being traumatized. I'm a mom now, and it's absolutely terrifying to just live with that fear of your child might die at any time, or like something will happen to them. Even though like fear doesn't consume me, it's not like I don't have anxiety about that, but just becoming a parent, like they're just inherently, or a mom, it's just inherently in your head, kind of like in your soul, like you're just scared for your child's life at various times. So that's too much information, but basically I don't want to read about it. It's about children. In 1976, 26 California children were kidnapped from their school bus and buried alive for motives never explained. All the children survived, and this follows that landmark case of how trauma affected them in their lives. Sounds super interesting if you're interested in this topic, maybe if you are a person who studies children trauma, but I'm not gonna read it. The Autobiography of Eleanor Roosevelt didn't have the best average rating, and then I looked through it and I'm like, this is just straight up diary entries from her. Like, I think it's just like what she wrote in her notebooks, and I don't care. I'm not gonna read it. Nixon, The Dutch Art of Doing Nothing. Fun little cover with a cat, but I'm not gonna read it. This has like been on my shelf for too long. I found it in a little free library. It's a little like coffee table book, but I don't need to know how to do nothing. I'm inherently lazy. I would need to read books about being more productive and motivated and driven, so I don't need to own this. Super Navigators by David Barry had lower average rating. I don't think I'm gonna read it, so goodbye. Now this one was hard. This is the last book that I'm unhauling, and this one was hard because it has beautiful memories for me. So Rhett and Link's Book of Mythicality by Rhett McLaughlin and Link Neal. I was a big watcher of Good Mythical Morning. Huge channel here on YouTube of these two guys. They've been doing it for many years, and they create really silly fun content. I was a very devoted watcher of them. Watched every single episode. I want to say like 7 to 8 years ago. Big time watcher. And they came to Portland because they were on tour, and I worked very close to Powell's. They were doing a thing where they like surprised people by walking into a bookstore in the town that they were touring at, and would find their book and then sign it and all this stuff. So I knew that they were gonna be doing that, and so I like took a very extended lunch break and just kind of crept around Powell's for a while. Sorry, this is gonna be a story. And then I saw on their stories that they were posting that they were gonna be there, and so long story short, I ended up being the person that found the book that they signed. So this is signed by them, and then here's a little Polaroid that they took. And then I also got a picture with them, so I'll put that up right here. So it's really fun. I got to meet them. I got to have a copy of their signed book. But here's the thing, I don't care as much anymore. I will never read this book. I just won't. And it's a fun memory, and I don't know if I should keep it or not, but I think I'm gonna get rid of it. I think I'll put it on Pango, and maybe someone will love it. Maybe a super fan will be on there and be like, oh my gosh, I can get a signed copy of theirs. You know, I don't know. I have the memory, and that's fun, and they're fun guys. I'm just sitting here trying to convince myself. Whatever. I'm getting rid of it. I'm getting rid of it. If you're a fan and you want it, let me know. I'll send it to you, but I don't need it. I don't need to own it. I have moved on in my life. There you go. I'm surrounded by all the books I'm getting rid of, but let me tell you, it feels so good. It feels so good. Like I said, if you can go into my Goodreads and recommend a book, that's what I want from you. That would be so fun to see all of your guys' recommendations of books that I own that I should read and prioritize. And yeah, let me know any other thoughts below. What do you think of the books I'm getting rid of? Any that I should keep? Any that you're like, yeah, good job getting rid of? I don't know. Let me know whatever you think and what you think of this video. I know it's a bit chaotic, and we're all on mend. We're also all feeling much better these days, so that is great. I hope you all are doing well. Happy soon to be September. It's one of my favorite months. It's my birthday month. It's my son's birthday month. It's our anniversary month. September is jam-packed full of fun stuff, and I think it's gonna be a great month. I hope so, because August sucked, so September's gonna be better. Thank you all so much for watching, for tuning in, for spending some time with me, and I will see you guys in more book videos soon. Bye.